Have you ever realized you're not stuck because of your circumstances? You're stuck because your vision is too small. I've met hundreds of people who told me they wanted to change their lives. They wanted to be richer, better, to live the life they deserve. But then they looked at their reality and concluded, I don't have enough money. I'm not good enough. I don't have connections. I'm not lucky. And just like that, they shrank their entire future down to fit those limits. Limits don't really bind them. They bind themselves. There's a harsh truth I learned early in life. If your vision isn't bigger than your limits, the limits will win every time and forever. You look at what you have today and judge your future by it. But you forget the future doesn't come from the present. The future comes from the image you dare to hold in your mind every single day. I've met people who started with nothing, broke, doubted, and completely overlooked. But they had one thing in common. They carried a vision big enough to burn every excuse to quit. That's why I want you to ask yourself right now, the vision you're chasing, does it truly match the potential within you, or is it just big enough to keep you safe? Because a small vision leads to a small life. A big vision leads to a big life. And stay until the end of this video because Principle 7 will hit you hard enough to make you question every limit you've unconsciously accepted. The journey starts here. Vision must be larger than limits. Principle 1. Vision must be bigger than where you stand. You can easily see everything around you, the room you're sitting in, your current paycheck, that not quite full bank account, and the responsibilities that make you feel like you can't go any further. That's the reality you live in. But the most important question isn't where are you? It's where are you headed? I've heard many people say, when I have more money, I'll start. When I get better, I'll chase my dreams. When the time is right, I'll change my life. But you know the truth. The right time will never show up on its own. Need proof? Look back 5-10 years. What were you waiting for then? And where is it now? I once met a man who worked a simple job living the same day over and over. He wasn't lazy. He wasn't bad. He wasn't incapable. He just couldn't see beyond what was in front of him. When the factory he worked at shut down, his life shut down with it. Not because he lacked ability, but because his vision was only big enough to survive, not to grow. Today's limits are not the end, but they will become the end if you let your future be framed by your current circumstances. You must dare to look beyond the walls around you. You must dare to imagine a life far greater than what you now possess. Vision is not a reflection of the present. Vision is the picture of the future that refuses to let you sit still. And here's the interesting thing about vision. It doesn't need to be logical or perfectly clear or believed by anyone else. It just needs to be big enough to force you to stand up and act every day. Look at the people who rose from poverty, from no education, no connections yet, built companies, careers, and lives. The world now admires. They didn't wait for resources to form their vision. Their vision created the resources. The day you start believing, I don't have to live within this limit forever, that's the day a new door begins to open. You might say, but I don't know where to start. I say, that's not the problem. The only problem is, do you dare to start? If you just expand your vision a little every day, read one more page, learn one more skill, meet someone better than you, choose one positive habit, and stay with it. Those small actions, when connected to a big vision, will take you to places even your current self can't imagine. Vision is not something to admire. Vision is something to chase. So, are you lifting your vision higher than where you stand? Do you dare to see yourself in a better, bolder, more successful place? Because if you can't see it, you'll never reach it. If your vision is truly bigger than your present, it will do something special. It will awaken the energy within you, the energy you never knew you had. And that's Principle 2. M-Court Principle E. Vision creates your energy. Have you ever wondered why some days you wake up full of life, charged with motivation, and other days you just want to stay in bed even when you're not physically tired? Your power doesn't come from your muscles or what you already have. It comes from the picture of the future you hold in your mind. If every morning you wake up just to get through the day, no wonder you run out of energy so fast, because your body can't generate energy from boredom. But look at someone chasing their dream. They stay up late but don't complain. They wake up early and feel alive. They handle pressure without breaking. Why? Their vision fuels them every single day. I once met a young man who said to me, "Jim, I feel drained. I've tried sleeping more, resting more, but nothing helps." I asked him, "Then what makes you get up tomorrow morning? What makes you keep going?" He was silent. Sometimes we're not tired. We're just living without something to move toward. You can drink coffee to stay awake for a few hours, but only vision can wake you up for a lifetime. Here's the most impressive part. When you have a vision, your body starts changing to match it. You study harder. You step out of your comfort zone. You do tougher things than yesterday. You look for ways instead of excuses. Because you refuse to betray the future you've already seen. Ask yourself, what makes you get up tomorrow morning if the answer is to pay the bills? Your energy will only last long enough to pay the bills. But if the answer is I get up to build a life I'm proud of, then your energy will shift instantly. It might not be huge yet, but every small action you take to feed that vision will raise your energy a little more each day. You're not out of energy. You're out of reasons to keep going. Question for you. What vision makes you jump out of bed tomorrow morning? Have you written it down yet? But energy alone isn't enough. A vision only becomes reality when it's backed by discipline. And when discipline is guided by vision, it's no longer a burden. It becomes a smart investment. That's why we have Principle 3. Principle 3, vision gives meaning to discipline. You know what makes most people quit halfway? It's not because they lack time. It's not because they lack talent. It's not because they lack opportunity. They quit because they don't have a reason big enough to keep going. When you try to wake up early but have no idea why you're getting up, every alarm becomes your enemy. When you have to study more, train harder, save more, but no future truly worth aiming for, every effort feels meaningless. That's when discipline turns into a burden. But what if you have a vivid vision waiting for you ahead? Everything changes instantly. You no longer wake up early because you have to. You wake up early because the future is calling you. You no longer work out to feel less guilty. You work out to be strong for the life you're building. You no longer save money out of fear of not having enough. You save money to buy freedom later. Discipline is no longer a question of how long do I have to do this. It becomes a statement. I do this to become worthy of who I'm meant to be. I once met a man who wanted to change his finances. He said, "Jim, I hate tracking my expenses." I replied, "You don't hate tracking. You just don't love your vision of financial freedom enough." See, when vision is strong, discipline feels light. When vision is weak, discipline feels like torture. You can cut back on many things, but never shrink your vision just to fit the laziness of today. Remember, limits only win when vision is weak. Discipline only hurts when the future is unclear. The day you find something truly worth pursuing is the day you look at discipline and say, "I'm doing this because I know where I'm going." Challenge for you. If the future you dream of depends on your discipline today, what will you start doing right now? However, no matter how disciplined you are, limits will always show up to test you. And when they do, it's your vision that decides whether you stop or keep moving forward. That's why we need Principle 4. Principle 4. Vision turns limits into starting points. Everyone has limits. Limits in ability, limits in money, limits in time, limits in opportunity. But the difference between those who succeed and those who quit is not how big their limits are. It's how they respond to them. Many people, when facing difficulty, immediately say, "I can't. I'm not ready. I don't have enough to start." And what happens? They let the limit become the end. But I've also met many people who do the opposite. They look straight at the limit and say, "I'll start from here." That's the power of vision. I once knew a young woman who dreamed of starting her own business. No one in her family believed she could. No money, no connections, no mentor. But she had one thing, a clear picture of the life she wanted to build. She started with small savings, scribbled notes in a notebook, and late-night learning after work. The limits didn't disappear. But her vision was bigger than her fear, bigger than others' judgment, bigger than every reason to quit. And something strange happened. Opportunities appeared. Relationships appeared. Resources appeared. Inner strength appeared. Not because they came by chance, but because her vision pulled him in. In my life, I've learned this: limits don't block your path unless you stand still. The more you move forward, the more your limits fall behind. The more you dare to advance, the more your limits become just the starting line for your next chapter. The most dangerous thing you can do is let today's limits decide the size of your tomorrow. If you wait for all the struggles to end before chasing your vision, you'll be waiting for the rest of your life. Challenge for you. From everything you feel you lack, choose one limit you're ready to turn into a starting point today. What will it be? But to turn every limit into a new leap, you need one more thing: the willingness to sacrifice and the understanding that what you give up today becomes the step that lifts you higher. That's what we'll explore in Principle 5. Green Cinco Vision turns sacrifice into growth. Everyone wants a better life, but not everyone is willing to pay the price for it. The difference between those who rise and those who stay stuck is not in their results, but in what they're willing to trade. No one enjoys sacrifice. Giving up leisure time, giving up comfort, giving up a bit of short-term freedom, giving up easy but harmful habits. But vision does something miraculous. It turns every sacrifice into a profitable investment. I once spoke with a young man. He wanted to be more successful to achieve more, but he didn't want to give up his habit of scrolling online all evening. He said to me, "Jim, that's how I relax after a long day." I asked him, "Then why can't you relax inside the life you dream of?" He went silent. You see, it's not the sacrifice that hurts. It's not seeing the purpose behind it. If you know what you're working toward, a body full of energy, a career you're proud of, finances that give you freedom, a better version of yourself, then every minute you turn away from distraction isn't a loss. It's you buying your future. Let me tell you a hard truth. If the path you've chosen hasn't required you to give something up, yet it probably doesn't lead anywhere. Real strength isn't built in moments of comfort. It's born when you see something worth fighting for more than your laziness. It's born when you say, "I'm willing to work hard today so I can be proud tomorrow." You'll be amazed to realize every time you choose vision over comfort, you grow instantly. Challenge for you. Choose one thing you know you need to let go of to move closer to the life you dream of. What will you sacrifice starting today? But here's another truth. Sacrifice is just the beginning. To make your vision real, you must plant new skills within yourself and keep upgrading who you are. And that's Principle 6. Principle Uke. Vision demands new skills. When you hold a big vision, it will demand a new version of you. Smarter, stronger, and better prepared. Many people say they want extraordinary success, but they also want to keep all their current habits and skills. They want more without becoming more. That's impossible. You can't step into a new future with old skills. I once met a man who dreamed of starting his own business, but he refused to learn about money management. When I asked, "Why won't you learn that?" he said, "Jim, I'm not good with numbers. I hate spreadsheets." I looked at him and said, "Then what will happen to your business if you keep hating them?" Vision is like a tough but loving teacher. It says, "You want to go further, then learn this. You want to reach higher, then master that." Without new skills, vision stays trapped in imagination. Even in today's world, CEOs are learning about AI. Students are learning communication. Employees are learning how to create value, not just follow orders. The world changes so fast that if you haven't learned anything new in 6 months, the world has already moved 3 years ahead of you. Vision will always push you into things you've never done. Giving a speech even when you fear public speaking. Learning finance, even if numbers intimidate you. Training your body even if you've always hated workouts. Building relationships. Even if you prefer being alone, not because it's easy, but because vision won't let you stay the same. Ask yourself, the person you want to become, what skills do they have that you don't yet? If you know something is holding you back, don't resist it. Learn to rise above it. One new skill today can be a massive leap tomorrow. Challenge for you. Choose one skill your future requires you to have. Commit to start learning it this week. But remember, skills, discipline, and vision all will be tested when obstacles appear because obstacles are the exam of vision. That's Principle 7. Principles. Obstacles test your commitment. Every vision worth pursuing will face resistance. That's not a sign you're going the wrong way. On the contrary, it's proof that your vision is alive and growing. If you want to test a dream, just start and watch how fast obstacles show up. When you decide to save money, an unexpected bill appears. When you decide to work out, your legs hurt. When you decide to learn a new skill, your schedule gets packed. When you decide to start a business, doubt comes from the people you love most. Obstacles don't come to block you. They come to ask if you're truly serious. I once knew a man who wanted to expand his business. He had a clear plan, strong energy, and belief until he faced 3 major problems in a row. Clients delayed payments. Costs went up. Partners doubted the project's success. Everyone said, "You should stop. These are bad signs." But he looked at me and said, "Jim, if I back down just because of this, how could I deserve the dream I'm chasing?" And he kept going. The result, his business, didn't just survive, it thrived. Failure isn't when you fall. It's when you accept that your limits are right. Obstacles aren't walls that block you. They're doors testing whether you're committed enough to walk through. If you only hold on to your vision when things are easy, that's not vision. That's a fragile wish. You must be brave enough to ask yourself, do I still believe in this when things get hard? That's the moment your vision turns into unshakable faith. Challenge for you. When the next obstacle shows up, how will you respond? Quit or stand up and say, "I'm here for a reason bigger than this fear." And then one day you'll notice something amazing. When you overcome challenges in one area, that energy spreads to every other part of your life. Your vision begins to lift your entire world. That's Principle 8. Principle 8. Vision elevates every area of life. When you expand your vision in one area, you'll be surprised to see it overflow into all others. When you raise your standards in finances, you start raising your standards in health and relationships. When you dream bigger in your career, you start speaking, dressing, and acting like the person from your future. When you believe you deserve a better life, you stop accepting mediocrity and any part of it. Vision is like a rising tide, and every boat in your life rises with it. I once met a man whose first goal was simply to get out of debt. That was his initial vision. He started learning money management, cutting waste, and working more effectively. But then something amazing happened. His confidence grew. He took on more responsibility at work. His health improved. His relationship strengthened. He told me, "Jim, I started changing just for money. But everything else in my life changed too." A right vision in one area can trigger a chain of upgrades across your whole life. When you see yourself as worthy of more, you begin to show up the way a worthy person would. You speak with more confidence. You make decisions with more clarity. You prioritize what truly matters. You want to be around better people. You can't hold a big image of your future and live small in your present. If you want to change your life, you don't have to fix everything at once. You just need to raise one standard. Because when one standard rises, all others rise with it. Challenge for you. Choose one area of your life where your vision needs to grow bigger. Finances, health, career, relationships. Where will you raise your standard starting today? And as you begin to live by a higher vision, people will start to notice. You'll become a living example and inspiration to those still trapped by their own limits. That's Principle 9. Influence. Your vision influences others. When you live a vision-driven life, people will see it even if you never say a word. They see how you persist. They see how you face difficulties. They see how you refuse the mediocre. They see how you raise the standards of your life. And something interesting happens. Your life becomes living proof that vision is real and it works. I once met a young man who told me, "Jim, I changed my life because I saw my father stand up from zero." That father didn't preach to anyone. He simply lived by his vision, worked harder, learned more, practiced discipline every day, didn't quit when hardship hit, and just by living that way, he gave his son a model to follow. The greatest influence doesn't come from words. It comes from a living example. When you dare to break your limits, you give others permission to do the same. You create hope where they thought none was left. You become evidence that dreams are possible. You don't realize that someone is quietly watching you every day to see whether vision is worth pursuing. And when they see you truly change, they'll start to think, if he can do it, I can do it, too. Your vision can be the torch that helps others find their way. And here's a beautiful gift of vision. You don't just lift your own life. If you lift the lives of those around you, not everyone will understand you right away. But one day they'll tell you, "Thank you for not giving up, because if you had, I would have given up on myself." Challenge for you. If your life is quietly influencing someone, what example do you want them to see? An example that stops because of limits, or an example that moves forward because of vision, but there's still a hidden danger. If limits linger long enough, they start to look like truth. And every day spent under a small vision is a day your potential gets stolen. That's why we need Principle 10. Principle 10. Time is the enemy of small vision. One of life's most dangerous illusions is the phrase, "When things get better, I'll start." But I have to tell you, a harsh truth: time is not on the side of a small vision. Limits, if you live with them long enough, become a lifestyle. You may even start believing they're right. No action equals vision shrinks. No decisiveness equals opportunities disappear. No change equals the future fades. I once spoke with a 6-year-old man. He shared his biggest regret. "I spent my whole life waiting for the right conditions, but the right conditions never came." That is the most lingering pain in life, knowing you could have become more but didn't. Time gives you two choices. One, if your vision is big, time becomes a partner: growth, opportunity, energy. Twig, if your vision is small, time becomes a thief stealing passion, youth, potential. You can't keep hiding behind "when I have more money, when I have more skills, when I'm ready." Because the truth is, you'll never be ready if you don't start. Every day you live under a low vision, your life lowers with it. 1 year from now, you'll still be there. 3 years from now, you'll still be the same. 10 years go by and you're still the version that once disappointed you. Not because you lack ability, but because you didn't use it the right way. Time doesn't ask whether you have dreams. It only asks, are you taking action today? Is now really not the time, or are you just afraid to begin? Challenge for you. If you knew every day of delay was stealing a piece of your better future, what must you act on today before time takes it? But here's what matters. The starting point isn't tomorrow. It isn't when conditions are perfect. It's in your decision right now. That's the core of Principle 11. Vision requires action today. You can have a vision so beautiful it makes your heart tremble. But if you do nothing for it today, it will remain just a dream. I've met so many talented, intelligent people with big dreams. They say, "When I'm ready, I'll start. When the timing is right, I'll act. When there are more opportunities, I'll break through." But the truth is, the right time doesn't come first. It only appears after you act. A friend once told me, "Jim, I'll change when things get easier." I had to look him in the eye and say, "Life won't get easier. You must get stronger." We can't sit around waiting for the storm to pass before beginning the journey. We have to set out even when the sun isn't shining yet, because action is the declaration I believe in this future. You may not know how, but you know the first thing to do. You don't need to change your entire life. You just need to change one small thing right now. Think about this. A great book starts with one first sentence. A big business starts with one decision to try. A healthy body starts with 10 minutes of movement. A free future starts with one small saving, small action repeated long enough, big result. That formula never changes. If you act every day, even a small step, time will take your side. If you don't act, time will turn its back on you. Vision only becomes real when it touches action. Not tomorrow, not next week. Right now, don't let your life become a should-have story. Let it be proof that you did. Challenge for you. What is the smallest right action you can take for your vision today? Do it before the day ends. And when you act every day for your vision, it will start shaping your future in ways limits can't stop. Because vision decides the size of your life. That's the heart of Principle 12. Principle 12. Vision defines the size of your future. Your life won't be measured by what you have now, but by what you dare to see in your future. I've met people who are very wealthy, yet their future is small because their vision stops at what they currently hold. They fear losing what they have, so they don't dare reach for what they can become. And I've met people who are simple with no money, no connections, no background. Yet they live the richest lives not because of what they possess, but because they dare to believe they deserve more. You don't become what you wish, you become what you believe you will become. If your vision is only as big as your present circumstances, then your future will be a copy of today or worse. But if your vision stretches far beyond your reality, then reality will have to chase it to keep up. Look at any great achievement in the world. A business that changes a market, a leader who changes history, a person who changes their own life, all began with a picture in the mind, a vision of a future bigger than every surrounding limit. Limits exist only until vision surpasses them. You can't choose the circumstances you were born into, but you can choose the size of your life. Don't live like someone protecting a fear. Live like someone pursuing a vision. One question will decide your future. Will you let limits decide who you are, or will you let vision decide who you will become? Your answer will write the story of your life. Challenge for you. Write down your biggest vision for the next 5 years. Don't shrink it to fit your present. Expand it to fit your potential. Now you have all the principles. What remains is take consistent action until the future you see in your mind becomes reality. I want you to remember this life isn't measured by what you have, but by what you dare to pursue. Vision is the compass that leads you past fear, past procrastination, and past the limited version of yourself. If you don't choose to expand your vision, limits will choose to shrink your life. Every day you can choose limits and you'll stay inside the box. Vision and you'll step into the future you deserve, and no one gets to choose for you. You can start from zero, but you don't have to end there. Write down your vision. Act on it every day. Don't let any limit tell you that you can't, because once your vision is bigger than your limits, limits lose their power. If these principles spoke to you today, like the video to spread this vision to more people. Subscribe to continue the journey of becoming the best version of ourselves with me, and comment below which limit will you break through. First, I'm Jim Rohn, and I believe your future deserves to be seen bigger than today. Life isn't measured by what we have, but by what we become. See you in the next video.